After an excellent show last year, the North East Ore Gauge were back at the Nissan Sports and Social Club in Sunderland for their second exhibition year. With easy access by car from the A19 and plenty of free on-site parking, the event brought together 12 layouts, 5 demonstrators and 12 trade stands. So something for everyone. Upstairs there was a cafeteria serving a wide variety of food and drinks, along with a display of photographs from the Armstrong Railway Photography Trust. If you find yourself enjoying this video, why not like and subscribe to the channel, as your support will enable similar content to be produced by the retro-attic Mancave. Now let's get into the show. The perimeter of the hall was well appointed, with various traders selling all sorts of products, from trains and rolling stock to scenery and hobby tools, with the majority of the layouts positioned in the centre of the hall. There was certainly lots to see and do at the North East Ore Gauge show. In addition to the cafeteria upstairs, there were further refreshments in the conservatory, along with a test track, so you could watch the trains go by while having a refreshing cuppa. The first layout on display as you entered the hall was Allerby by Thompson. This impressive display depicted the fictional part of the railway system, somewhere in northern Cumbria, around the late 1980s. There were interesting scenes located all over the layout, which added interest to the overall display. There was also a large yellow maintenance crane located in one of the sidings. There was some excellent weathering on the various locomotives and rolling stock on the layout. And at the far end of the track, the blue hopper could be seen being filled by a tractor, as lorries took the recently deposited coal away from the yard. Next up was Beighton Junction Yard, presented by Blount from the South Tyneside Ore Gauge Group. This layout represented an area near the industrial heartland of Sheffield, with its many steel manufacturing sites in the 1970s and 80s. Could that be a couple of Sheffield United fans on the platform, presumably on their way to the match? And these two chaps that appear to be taking a tea break on the scaffolding are certainly getting a great view of the layout. St George's Pit by Alan Gray of the Birtley Model Railway Engineers had modelled a typical northeast colliery from the 1930s. The majority of the pit buildings have been scratch built and provide a glimpse of the one-time lucrative coal industry of a bygone era that has now all but vanished, along with the industrial railways which served the coal mines. Brafferton, presented by Steve and Dave Foxton, is a typical northeast terminus set in the 1950s and the 1960s, with a superb range of locomotives and rolling stock. The layout had many different freight and passenger trains coming and going from the terminus, which was always busy with activity as trains slowly shunted around the layout.
This is the only time I do A gauges here, it's helping out. Mine's double A.
Yeah. Well, mine's 56 feet. 56 feet.
52 feet. Oh wow.
Faster. And then I build, professionally I build kits.
Oh okay.
Mortgage, paint and weathering. And then Mickey was doing the trade of Stanley and one of his main builders on Eastfield Depot.
Oh right.
We're doing that, which is all gauge again.
I understand at the time that after we built the kits, but there's no kits around anymore.
After the kits are built purely all gauge.
Oh right.
I don't know small, it's just
Too small.
yes, the time. So I remember the time before it came.
St Marnock engine shed from Mike Bissett depicted a typical Glasgow South Western Railway depot, providing servicing facilities for locomotives using the Anglo-Scottish route through Kilmanik in British Rail Scottish Region 1960s era. This layout had it all, from excellent scenery, realistic sounds from the various locomotives, and even smoke coming from the steam trains. The attention to detail on this layout was exceptional. I particularly liked the man filling the coal tender, and the turntable at the far end, changing the train's direction of travel as required, ready for departure from the railway depot. Durham Street, presented by Ian Harper, from Scarborough and District Railway Modellers, is set at the end of the golden bygone era, when our magnificent steam locomotives were starting to be phased out, for the new era of diesels in the 1960s. This depot also had a turntable, which was being actively used to orientate the locomotives on the layout.
At the end of the clip, it's on stairs at the end of the clip. Is me coming into the stairs, arriving in Sunderland, engine out, then across onto the street, and you see me hopping out onto the clip. So I'll send it to you.
I'd love to see that. Anything like that, you get Allerby and stuff like that.
There's another one that may somewhere. It's the same as this one.
Loch Dove, presented by Craig Watson, is a small Scottish terminus set in the British Rail Blue period of the 1980s and 1990s. The trains can be seen arriving and departing from the small station, and further along was a set of cottages overlooking the tracks. I'm sure I could see the Flying Scotsman outside the end cottage. What do you think? The Gauge O Guild had a layout called Ravensthorpe on display, showcasing their exceptional work done on what was a modest-sized board for this large scale. The scenic part was amazing, and the attention to detail was second to none. From the station garage with its vintage Morris traveller van, to the engineer precariously perched on a set of ladders, working on a telegraph pole. The hobo standing on the bridge caught my eye. He seemed to have stopped to look down at the trains, before continuing on with his travels. Why Oh Why was presented by Peter Grant from the Birtley Model Railway Engineers, depicting a typical London North East Railway port in the 1930s. A lot of work had gone into embedding the tracks into the quayside as the trains brought goods to and from the ships that had tied up at the docks. There was so much detail in this layout. The scratch-built boats looked great and really added to the overall scene. The background quayside sounds brought the whole scene to life, and I eventually spotted the seagull making all that noise. Dunshafray, displayed by David and Andrew Galashier, depicted a small Scottish station and goods yard served by the Caledonian Railway prior to 1923. Some wonderful trains and rolling stock could be seen moving around the layout, with plenty of interesting scenes to take in as you watch the passenger and goods trains pass through the station on their way to their final destinations. Finishing off my visit to the North East O-Gauge show, I browsed the many trade stands on display. There was an impressive selection of O-Gauge items to purchase, and in addition to trains and rolling stock, there were plenty of buildings, miniatures, to bring anyone's layout to life. If I owned an O-Gauge layout, I would have found it very difficult not to spend any of my pocket money here, as you had everything you needed under one roof to make a layout. Before leaving, I had to return to the St Marnock engine shed one last time to watch the steam trains move majestically around the depot. Oh, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for similar content from the retro attic man cave.